two, one.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Hotline. If you are obsessive compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, ask someone to press 2 for you. If you have multiple personalities, press...
No more, I ain't afraid today. And if the words come out, I know that I would say, busting out the rules, take control, busting out the love that's from my soul, busting out a dream that won't be so. I said no. Boston Bay, Boston Bay, Boston Bay.
Hi, I'm Dixie Karras, and Carol, Shelley, and Sue could not be here tonight because they are out of town. And so I sort of wrestled up a couple of friends to help me because we're going to be talking about volunteering tonight. And before I go too far, I'd like to give you the phone number that you can call in if you would like. And that is 360-693-7544. So I'm going to be talking about the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps and other international volunteer programs. Which, by the way, I have my friends Annie Palmer and Tim.
It's an easy name. Last name is Rice.
That's right.
R-I-C-E.
Tim Rice. They're going to be telling you some things tonight. Anyway, okay, so let's get back to the Peace Corps. I spent 2 years in the Peace Corps in the early 70s. And the Peace Corps is a volunteer organization that sends, the United States sends volunteers over to other countries, underdeveloped countries, to help them create things, develop things, that sort of thing. And I went with my ex-husband, who he was a math teacher, and I ended up teaching. I taught art and English, and so we had 2 years over there, and it was very interesting. Most of it was very positive. However, there were some not so positive things that happened, but that's what happens to you when you walk into a different culture, and you have to get used to the way they do things. So anyway, the volunteers that they send over there are involved in a number of things. First of all, is anything. In other words, they could develop something very different. But agriculture, education, health, environment, community economic development, and youth in development. Now, they do take couples, by the way. I was married when we went over there, and they do not take dependent children. So if you have children, you're going to have to leave them, which they explain at the website if you want to do that. They welcome veterans. They pay your, they give you money to pay for things like rent and utilities and food. They give you a monthly amount. And then when you finish the 2-year program, they have a readjustment allowance of $8,000. And some people have, these days, some people have student loans. And there are 2 programs that may pay towards your student debt, but you would have to look into it. You get 48 paid vacation days. You get full medical and dental. And it's, let me go back to the busting fear situation. We sometimes feel there's a fear in us that we're not contributing enough to make our world a better place. And maybe it's more inspiration, but there can be some guilt or fear. And I think that volunteering really, really makes a person feel good inside.
Yes.
And I really, yes, Tim, right?
Yes, indeed.
And I felt very good going overseas. I went to West Africa, and I learned about a whole new culture, and I learned how to deal with the people. I even took language courses for 2 other languages besides English. It was the Gambia, which was colonized by the English, and they spoke English, but then there were the tribes. There were several tribes actually, but the 2 main tribes, we learned their languages, at least a small amount of their language. And anyway, it was a very good feeling for me to go over and help others. But I don't think people realize how much it helps the person who is the volunteer, because that it's, I think it's more than helping them. We get a lot within us from doing that. So anyway, that's the Peace Corps. And also they have, it's called, there is a Golden Years in the Peace Corps program. And they also have a 50-plus program. And I know when I was in the Gambia, we had a couple over there. I think they came from Wisconsin, and they were 49 and 50. Their children were grown, and they decided to go off on a new adventure. There was a lady there who was 55, and the person in charge of the program was 65. So it's never too late to volunteer. I want to talk also about AmeriCorps, which is AmeriCorps and VISTA. And VISTA is Volunteers in Service to America. And they are 1 year. The Peace Corps is for 2 years, but the AmeriCorps is for 1 year. But you can extend to 2 years if you want. And I was a VISTA volunteer back in 1999 for the American Red Cross in California, in the Monterey area of California. And I helped them with the emergency planning for disasters, and I learned a lot from that program. My youngest son was in the AmeriCorps program also here in Vancouver, Washington, and that was about 5 years ago, and they helped with the parks, the more rural parks, getting them in shape. And then he went in for a second year by doing half administration, getting volunteers to sign up and educating volunteers. And then he also did work out in the field. So anyway, there's also a GLA, which is Global Leadership Adventures. And it offers international high school volunteer abroad summer programs. Teens interested in making positive changes in struggling communities around the world. Africa, Southeast Asia, South America. The ages of the volunteers are 14 to 18. So if you're interested, or you know someone who is interested, go on the internet and put in GLA for Global Leadership Adventures. They build playgrounds in the classrooms, participate in nonprofit organizations, help combat nutrition, and protect endangered species. It helps the volunteers develop leadership skills, gain a broader cultural awareness, and make a difference in other lives. So anyway, that's what I'd like to bring to you tonight, is to encourage you to do some volunteer work, because it'll do more for you, really, than what you can do for other people. Now, I have my friend here, Annie Palmer, and she will talk about the local community volunteering. Okay, Annie?
Thanks, Dixie. Yeah, I've been volunteering at Volunteer Chore Services since 2008. And what we do is we do a variety of things. Like, I've been driving. I've had back problems, so I can only do driving. But we also do, if you need to have your lawn mowed, or cleaning, or cooking, actually, and quite a few other things that we can do. And the number to call would be 360-213-2430. And we do a lot of things, but we have to make sure that you fit our protocol, or who we are able to help. We're statewide. We get grant funded, and also from SWAA, that's Southwest Area Aging, and we have our own funds as well. But for driving, I get paid 50 cents per mile for reimbursing for my gas. And so from my house to wherever they're at, and back and forth, that's about 50 cents a mile. We also have had a problem, too, relating to the Busting Fear situation. There was one of our clients that I picked up. I came a little bit early, and I picked her up, and she got a phone call from her grandson, who called up and said, "Grandma, I just got into an accident. I can't talk very well. I'm bleeding. I started to bleed like 2 days ago. The accident was 2 days ago, and it just didn't sound good." And so she was asking him, "Okay, is this so-and-so? Well, is this her son?" And he never really answered her, and I was in there in the room listening to it. But she was involved with a grandma scam, which is really, I mean, she was totally freaked out, and I was really objective to this whole thing. So for me, I was stable for her, which really helped her through, because she was really freaked out. Her grandson, who she raised on her own and did an awful lot of work with her, they're real close. So I had to take her to the appointment, and then when we came back, she didn't have any more phone calls, so she winds up getting a hold of her grandson, and her grandson said that, "Yeah, I'm fine, that wasn't me." So there's a couple things that you can look into that. There's AARP, and you can find out through them, and also the Sheriff's Department. They have a resource, not directly through the Sheriff's Department, but they have a resource that you can find out more information, like what you do if something like that does happen, versus to remain real calm. And since the client already had that situation, she knew what to kind of expect next time. So that was really helpful to be able to do that. And when we came back, I took her back to her place. I stayed with her for a little bit just to make sure she was okay, because she was really upset, and running high blood pressure and stuff just wasn't good. So I want to make sure she was okay, and she's a really sweet lady, and she wound up being okay. So then the other thing that I came up with is, why don't you have your grandkids have a code, like say, "Grandma, black and blue, this is so-and-so, this is an emergency." That way you get it clear right off the bat. You know you're talking with your grandson, and there's no problem. So between the AARP, Sheriff's Department, and also she needed to get a caller ID telephone. So that would say for sure who called and the whole thing, which she didn't have. So we talked that over, and that really helped her out. So today I went to the Clark County Fairgrounds, and they had a number of different people there offering their services as well. And one of them was the Clark County Food Bank, which is the card was Marlene Ashworth. She's a volunteer coordinator, and the website is clarkcountyfoodbank.org, and her phone number is 693-0939. And then other forms of volunteers are Meals on Wheels and hospital type of activities and stuff. And
Were they all at the
no,
fairgrounds?
the Clark County Fairground or Clark County Food Bank was there, and I believe that was all that I ran into.
But it was showing people where they could volunteer?
No, it was just the Clark County Food Bank was the only one that was there. And that was only the one volunteer section that was there. But we know that there's Meals on Wheels, and then hospice or hospitals also have volunteer services. You could probably Google search volunteer for Vancouver, Washington to see what else is available.
Well, anyway, I'm very pleased that you've gotten so involved in the community volunteer work that we can let people know that there is help out there. I used to be a case manager at the Area Agency on Aging, and I would go out to people's homes, people that were over 62 or disabled, and I would determine if they needed Meals on Wheels or state assistance. There were a number of things that I would talk to them about. So there is a lot in our county that can help people. And I think the internet is wonderful because you can put volunteer opportunities or organizations, Clark County, Washington, and probably get a lot of information. So now,
You do need to put Washington, because otherwise you'll be in Clark County, Nevada.
Nevada, yes.
Yeah, I
know
found that out.
Tim, you work for the food bank, so could you share a little bit of that also?
Well, actually, I'll start with the food bank is the Central Food Distribution Center. Same thing as the Oregon Food Bank. The places that supply food on a volunteer basis are food pantries. I have been with this food pantry for about 3 years now. It's up on 9th Avenue in Hazeldale at the 68foodpantry.org for those that are interested. It's pretty gratifying and humbling compared to the line of work that I've done over the years, being a slave in corporate America. But it's nice to be able to go home sometimes with the stories you just can let loose. I don't mean with a foot pedal either. I'm talking about with your tears. But it's always surprisingly interesting. And when I started with this particular group, we had about 30 families. We were in a different location, and the property owners didn't like the type of people that's being surrounded, so they kicked us out. And that place is still empty again, and it's been like 2 years. Wow. But at the 6-8 Food Pantry, we have a lot of participation from the church itself, and I don't go to church there. But they last month, I think I read the stats, we served over 130,000 pounds of food we gave out last month alone. This past week was 102 more new families. Wow. And I talked, with my nutritional background, of course, I can answer a lot of these kind of questions about brown rice versus white rice and different things. And they're from all over the world. It's for a rich country and everything else, there's a lot of people that need our help. So here recently, we've got involved in a youth program. I'm not sure who the sponsor is, but the 6-8 building has increased by adding a mocha bar with a little bit of a seating area. So now we're feeding hot food that they can enjoy before they leave or when they come in. And they give each of us a break so we can talk to the folks. Now, we don't proselyte. We sit and visit. So I had the enjoyment of sitting with a family from Hawaii, which I lived at for years. And they were just so grateful. She's up high, pregnant. She's up high right now with three kids. And they actually had a seat ready for me. Say, oh,
Wow.
Tim, you want to join us? And so we'd sit there and we'd just talk story, and heard some sad things. And a lot of times we'll get clothing and stuff, and we keep track who needs these things. But I never thought that I would volunteer at a food pantry. I don't know, former three-piece suit tie guy, going in there in blue jeans and actually helping people instead of corporate America. It's a lot more gratifying when I can help a hungry family than a financially hungry corporation.
Yes.
Much different.
I agree.
And I just love it. Absolutely. When the Albertson stores closed in Vancouver last year, I worked with two of the stores in Vancouver that were closing down, met the managers, met the regionals. I was kind of surprised that nobody else in our groups, collectively, nobody else approached them. And so the day before they were closing down last year, I think it was last year, February, the phone rings. And we sent out the trucks, to pick up not only food, but hygienic products and stuff for babies, which we never normally get.
Wow.
And that's something for anybody. I would like to say, anyone who would like to donate money, food, clothing, anything for families, go to the website. It's 68, the numbers, foodpantry.org. And you can get a hold of us right there. I don't have the phone number memorized. I never call. It's all email.
So it's 6'8".
68, the numbers.
Uh-huh.
It's inside the 6'8 church.
Oh.
Is where it's at. That's where the 6'8 comes from, the scriptures of Micah chapter 6, verse 8. I haven't read it. Sorry to say. But I go to a synagogue, so they really make me feel welcome being a part of their organization. And I love the people, the volunteers, the people in charge. But we could use your help. If you've got a connection, you own a business or a store, we also always need plastic T-shirt bags. Walmart a while ago donated 150 cloth recyclable bags
And what are those for?
for them to carry the groceries out.
Okay.
We've got a volunteer.
Yes.
Got a phone call.
A phone call. Hello.
Hey, Dixie.
Yes.
This is Carol. Are you on Busting Through right now?
Yes, we are.
Hey, I'm watching you live from San Mateo.
Hi, Carol.
Yeah, Tim said hi.
Hey, Tim, I like the new do. Awesome.
You can
The
blame
new
it.
hairdo. And so, Tim and Andy, thank you for helping out Dixie. And Dixie, thank you for taking the show tonight. I really appreciate it. And we had an emergency come up, and I just had to get out of town.
It's nice of her watching us,
That's right. We're glad.
Yeah, I think that's a great concept, talking about volunteering to help you get more connected to the community. And that's an awesome topic. Something I never would have thought about.
I agree.
You agree that you've never thought of it? Did you hear that, Carol?
Hey, is Bobby Lee there?
Yes.
He is.
Hey, Bobby Lee, I got to tell you something. Can you hear me?
I can.
Did he say he could hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
he
yes,
said I can.
lovely.
Oh, okay. I got to tell you, on Sunday, I was standing at my sink doing the dishes, and the song you wrote for Busting Fear just kept playing over and over and over in my mind. And I got to thinking and looking throughout my life how the divine source has always been available to me and not pushed me or pulled me, but kind of let me find my own way. And your song inspired me to look at, my life and where I am now. And I just want to say how much I appreciate you being able to bring that out, because that helped to pull some things out of me to consider and contemplate, and how grateful I am that you were able to bring, put forth that song, and that helped me lead to some other thoughts, which I will be talking about on an upcoming show.
Oh, thank you, Carol, so much. That means so much to me. I really appreciate it.
Can you hear him?
I can.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby Lee, did you get your key thing I made for you?
Did I get what?
The key, your key holder?
I did not.
Ginger has it. I gave it to Ginger.
Okay.
Ginger has your key holder.
Okay.
We'll have to call Ginger to the carpet here.
Okay, well, I just wanted to call in and say hey, and thank you, Annie and Tim, for helping out, and for the crew there, Mike and Ginger and whoever else is running things behind the scene. I know it takes a great effort, and they're great people, and just want to give a shout out and say thank you so much, and I guess I'll sign off and get back to my job here.
Okay, and thank you for calling, Carol.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.
Have a good
Bye.
time.
Well, Tim, you've got that book.
Yeah,
We're gonna.
now we would like to go on to another section here, because Tim has a book called, let me have him introduce it to you. And he has some interesting information to give you that comes from the book. So,
Now, this is not my book that I wrote. That's still at the publisher. Actually, this book belongs to Dixie. I was shocked at her house the other day that this book was around still. It's Urantia. Can you guys get a good look at that? I read this, about 2,000 pages almost?
yeah.
I read this in my freshman year in college, sophomore year in college, back back in the 70s. How I got it, I don't know. How I lost it, I don't know. I've heard the same scenario with many, many people. But I want to read a little summary that I put together. It will really answer a lot of stuff about this book. The book is free of charge. All you have to do is go in your search engine, put Urantia.
Spell it.
How do I spell this? This is spelled Urantia. And a whole bunch of stuff will come up. You can order the book free of charge through the society. Now, nobody takes credit in this book as an author. But I want to read a little summary for you that might encourage some of you folks who might want to get it. It's not New Age. I was worried about that when I read it in school. But do you ever wonder about the meaning of life? I know we all do. We all have. And we all, even at advanced ages, are still looking toward that. Do you ever wonder about God? Now, there's an interesting concept. Ever wonder about God? Why are we here? What's the purpose? What is my purpose of being here on the earth? A lot of you folks, you really think that we're alone in this universe, just this planet? This kind of stuff is discussed in this book here. What is reality? Where are you going? When did the universe begin? All of these things about different religions, the soul. Everything is in here. The page I've got open right now is about Lucifer. This goes into a lot of in-depth things. We hear a bit about Lucifer in the Bible, the snake in the garden, if you will, with Adam and Eve. And there's not a lot of references. So what this book will do in all different areas is engulf you in different probabilities, concepts, and so forth. The authors of the book, and I'm going to turn back to the content pages, the authors of the book are interesting. This section about Lucifer, first of all, a lot of the information was shared by Gabriel of salvation. That's an interesting thought. The local universe section is written by Melchizedek. That man you could read about quite a bit in the Bible. But, I mean, authors like the bright evening star, the archangel, Solania, the life carriers, mighty messengers. But there's nobody who says, I'm the one who wrote this section. Like Moses obviously wrote the first 5 books, the Torah in the Bible. Different books are written by different people. The New Testament, nobody really knows who wrote different books except the book of Revelation, I believe it is. It's definitely by John, the Island of Apaphos. But I encourage folks who really want to go in depth more about Adam and Eve's in the Garden of Eden. What did they do up to the day that she ate the apple or the cherry? What happened? You'll read about the concepts, ideas from all these different messengers. What happened with Yeshua, or Jesus, the first 30 years of his life? We know that he was in the synagogue during the festival of Hanukkah, teaching the rabbis. Well, what happened during these expanded periods of time?
Does this book tell you about that?
It does.
Okay.
This book goes into some pretty heavy depth. When I first read it, I thought, wow, this is really New Age. And that was in the 70s. But as I've gone through it again, I'm realizing it's really not. I had a very sincere quadruple bypass a few years ago, and I was fighting the Almighty. I didn't want to come back. I had no reason to be here. I had no debt. I hadn't picked fights with people for many years. But something happened as I was waking up that I realized there's more out there than what I've known. You know, as much as the Bible I've read, the original scriptures, the secondary scriptures, but this book.
Now, would you show the people the book, the front of the book, and spell it out for them?
This book is done by the Urantia Society. They're out of Chicago. The vice president lives in Portland, Oregon. I went to Wikipedia and thought I'd do some checking on it. But it's URANT, as in my name, Tim, IA, book. But all you need is the first word on any search engine, and it'll take you there. And there's several pages about the society, their philosophies. They have workshops for communities to get involved. This is not a religious text, but it kind of reminds me of the Talmud. These are volumes of books in Judaism where there's just 1 or 2 verses about Enoch. Well, they get together, do their debating. Some folks call it arguing. And they write little things about Enoch in there, in the Talmud. And it gives you a lot more understanding of things that are not really explained. This book, Urantia, goes into great depth. And it's just something you can get for free of charge. You probably have to pay shipping and handling fees because it is nonprofit. But this thing is just that interesting. And the last comment on my little cheat sheet is, if you ask someone of these big questions that I had just mentioned prior, this book may be of interest to you. If it became interesting to me, there's a lot more people I think would be interested in. Thousands of people all over the world have profoundly changed their life with the book techniques that are in here. To me, it would be a supplement. Don't get upset with me, folks. If you are, just give us a call. What's the live number?
The number is 360-693-7544.
It's an excellent supplement to the entire Bible. And there's only 66 books. This has got a lot more. But do pick the book up. I've never seen it at the bookstore. I've never seen it on Craigslist. In fact, remember when I was talking about this book and all of a sudden you had 2 copies? My roommate, Chet, he's a dog trainer and he does a lot of that stuff and he has no time for a lot of reading. But when he saw me bring the book in, because we've talked about it several times, He's 2/3 through, and we haven't had it quite a week yet. It goes back to Dixie, so it's not going to be missing just because somebody in my house read the whole book.
Well, and unfortunately, even though I had 2 of them, I have never read it. So I may have to read it.
I just hope it doesn't disappear like it did me back in the 70s. I have never understood where that book has gone.
Well,
And I've got stuff from those days.
but let me say this. I looked up on the internet, and Amazon you can buy.
You can buy. Why buy it?
Right. New or used, when you can also get it free. So,
How much is it on Amazon?
It's not very expensive, but I can't remember the amount.
What year was it written?
It was originally copyrighted in 1955. It actually has a copyright date in it. But
That's a long
it
time.
belongs to the society. No people have taken credit. So I thought, well, what I'm going to do, because I've got a copyright in this book I'm doing, I'm going to go into the USPTO. And
What does that stand for?
United States Patent and Trademark Division. And I took the numbers from the ISBN numbers here. The society owns the copyright. There's no names involved in there, which is a surprise.
Okay, well, this is pretty much,
Interesting.
yeah, it's pretty much.
You said you've kind of breezed through the book also before, right?
Oh, it was a long time ago.
Oh, Annie, 1971? Come on.
The 70s.
Yeah, we did a lot in the 70s.
All the younger viewers don't know that, but we know it.
I didn't do a lot. I worked all day.
Okay, well, anyway, okay, this is the end of the show, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll have some music now.
Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee.
I ain't afraid no more. I ain't afraid to say of all the words I think, of all the things I made. Busting out the rules that they control, busting out the love that's in my soul, busting out a dream that won't